can read the questions. Okay. So we don't have to necessarily go by the numerical order of the questions, because some questions may be easy answers, some questions may be more complicated answers. So I request Yashaswini ji to kind of choose the question which will then be up for discussion. Is that
Okay.
okay?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I don't have a particular preference. It's okay. I don't even know who has submitted which question, by the way, because I didn't request that information. So maybe we can start with this. Yeah, I think probably this law of karma one. We can start with that group of questions. So I tried to group them based on sort of the topic that was in the question, or at least that's my interpretation of the question. So the first question is it is said that there are some 64,000 yonis in which our Atman Brahman travels. Is it true that we get human life only after going through all the other yonis, or how does the law of karma work?
Great. So who wants to go first?
Maybe I can. Uh, yeah, I have heard that it's actually 84 lakh yonis. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. So go
Okay.
ahead, go ahead. So it doesn't
Yeah.
matter whether it is this number or that number. Go ahead.
Yeah. Only my understanding is that these 84 lakh yonis or janmas that we go through, it's also very symbolic. It's also showing the evolution, and the current janma that we have is the result of all these evolution, this evolution that we've gone through. And I don't know who put this question, and not me, but when I hear this question, I also remember one of the songs by Kanakadasa. I don't know if anyone knows Kannada. It says, Yesu Kayangala Kaledu 84 Laksha Jiva Dati Bandiruva E Sharira. So it means we have crossed all those, and current Janma is the result of all these Janmas in the past. That is my limited understanding.
So there is a hand raised. Venkatesh ji, I think, wanted to say something.
Yes, so Venkatesh, you can unmute and say whatever you wanted to say.
Sorry, I didn't
Yeah.
realize it was. Yeah. So I think Acharya always talks about a sequence or elevating levels. That is why, if you see, he even says that Shankaracharya ji first talks about Acharya about doing an idol worship, and then he says first he starts with Saguna Brahmas as a worship method, and then he says the ultimate path, when you are fully realized, you go to a Nirguna Brahma. So to me, in that philosophical sequence, whether it is 64,000, 84,000 lakh, or whatever counts we have, it shows a stage of evolution that initially there is a lot of restriction that we are not able to all think, and this is when the Atma, being indestructible, goes to each of the Sharira, and then as it gradually evolves in terms of its activities, in terms of its knowledge and ability to realize that knowledge, it keeps going. I think this is the sequence which I believe is what is meant over here. That was my thinking.
So I just want maybe to clarify that it's not, my understanding is it's not the Atman or Brahman that travels or is born again, it's the Jivatma. That's my understanding. It's not, because Atman or Brahman can't really do any of this. It's a
That's
witness,
correct.
it doesn't do anything.
That's
So,
correct.
okay. So, yeah.
Okay.
But yes, I agree that the number doesn't matter, at least in my opinion.
Okay. Is there anybody else who has a view, an opinion, an answer?
I have
We
heard
could.
that it's not necessarily always sequential. Uh, like law of evolution at least says it's sequential. The Western
Yeah, correct.
and
Very good point.
in-
Very good
yeah.
point. Very good point. So it is not sequential, it is not linear, it is not progressive. You can go back to a lower form depending on the karma. That's the point. Yeah. Sonalji, you raised a hand.
Yeah, someone said that it is evaluation, the evaluative journey, right? That is what I heard in one of the Nirupan, if you say. They said that, we start with plants, trees, because there you don't have mind and you can't do any action. Then you get into you know any what we say, those who live in water, right? Because you can't walk. Then you get into a yonis of birds and all that, where you can fly. And then you get into yoni where animals, those who live on land. And then the last one is cow, and then we get into a human being. That is what I heard. And because human being, we can think, that is man is there in human beings, which is not there in earlier yonis. So that's
No,
how.
no.
No.
I'm not supposed to be talking, but I think this is something which I have to somewhere correct. Whenever we talk of a Jivatma, the Jivatma always has a mind. So it is not correct to say that plants don't have a mind. Plants also have a mind. Every Jivatma has some mind because, at least in the Advaitic philosophy, what we are taught is when you say Jivatma, it is nothing but the reflection in the mind. That is called the Jivatma. So without a mind, there is no Jivatma possible at all. Okay. So that is the correction that I want to give. Um, and the second correction is it's not like it's a sequence. You don't always have the going. No, you can start somewhere in the middle, random motion. What in the in you know Brownian motion is a random, completely random motion. So it's all based on what you do and what you don't do. Okay, so I'll stop here. She has completed. I think we'll go to Subhashini ma'am. She raised the hand.
Good evening, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon to all. I also wanted to come to the exactly the same point, but to this question, I am approaching to answer like why do we really have to go through 64,000 units? At first, why these births are given to us? If we kind of answer this question, then we will know if it is really necessary to go through all the 64 lakhs birth. So why we go through is to take our knowledge at that particular level. If we miss that level, then that level will it's going to repeat through some other yoni birth. But if you have gained, then it is not necessary to go. If you take a birth as a bird, and if you have failed to acquire knowledge whatever a bird has to do, then the next birth will be something lesser to that. That's it. So it is really not necessary. So it is up to the jivatma to how much try it is making to improve its knowledge. That if it is reached, then it will not go back, it will only go further. So I am approaching to this question to say that it is really not necessary to go through all the unis because of this reason. Thank you, sir. If you can correct me if I'm
Okay, there's
Hello.
someone else who raised the hand. Pooja ji. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Hello. So I'm new to this group, and this is my first session. So I'm not aware of the past discussions. And what? So I continuously read Gita, presses Gita, and there for every chapter there is a Mahatmya. That means what is the significance of that particular chapter. So, in those Mahatmyas, what I observed was that, uh, for example, as a human, we may commit good karmas and bad karmas. And if we commit bad karmas, we get a particular yoni. And in that yoni, we have to suffer according to our karma. And this cycle continues. And sometimes, for example, there's a situation in somebody's life that a person gets bitten by a snake, and then that snake revealed that, okay, I was in the past life your for example friend, and you betrayed me, and that's why I came in this life to to balance the karmas and so on. So for me, how I see it as that these 84 lakh yonis, they are for example the playgrounds for us to learn. So it may not be sequential. It may not be that we have to travel each of them, but based on the karma, our Atma can choose one of them to balance the karmas and to learn from them.
Okay. So anyone else?
That's it.
Anyone else has a point? Anyone else on this question?
I think maybe one, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes,
Rajneesh.
Rajneesh, did you want to say something? Yeah.
Yeah, just I wanted to ask or make a point. What is the significance of not having memory of past lives? And what is there an advantage of that, disadvantage?
Okay. So yeah, we'll park that question. Venkatesh ji, you came up again.
Yeah, just one small sentence to kind of put this discussion the way I was able to grasp the entire discussion. I know it's an allegorical example. It's a little bit like that subsidy game. There are 100 stages or whatever, 84,000 stages, and each one moves across. Yes, it's an akram, like in Vishnu Sahasranamam also, it says akramaha is also one of the name of Vishnu. And this is where they say that he does not essentially follow a sequence. Same goes for us as Jivatma. It's like a subsidy is how I imagine that there are 100 evolutionary stages. The 100th one is when we imagine we are able to realize the Nirguna Brahma and reach that final stage where we are able to realize the unity. But yes, there are in between, depending on what is our prana prayana samaya, whatever is our thought process. It can be like in the subsidy, you come back from stage 99 to stage 2, or in between, if you have been good, you can have a ladder which will allow you to skip some of the stages in between. So the field has got, in my opinion, so to say, the game has got 100 stages. It's not necessary that everyone goes through. There are ladders and snakes which can make us go in whatever sequence round and round. Was just an thinking, that's all. Maybe it's wrong, just came to my
It's a
mind.
brilliant example, sir. It's a brilliant example. I think you have kind of hit the nail on the head. That's a very nice way, nice practical way to understand this whole concept. But what I would like to say as a comment is, this entire discussion has happened from the point of view of the Jivatma, and all these evolutions or back and forth movement or Brownian motion or whatever we've talked, all of this is for the Jivatma itself. So, from that sense, the whole discussion is from the Jivatma point of view. But this whole session, the 53 sessions that we had earlier, was all about Advaitic philosophy. And in the Advaitic philosophy, the Jivatma ultimately is Mithya. So, what we have to eventually understand is that all these 64,000 or 84 lakh yonis or whatever, they are also ultimately Mithya. So, if that is kept in mind, then this entire discussion will be of use. Okay, can we move on to another question? I think we had enough people talking about this particular question.
Yes, sir. Yes. Um, I think the other one in this group is related to what you just said. What is the ultimate highest stage in spiritual evolution one can reach in Vedanta? Will it be free from birth, death, and what is the state of this realized soul? So I think you just mentioned, well, kind of answered this one, that it's all
Yeah, but let the
ultimately,
participants
yeah.
give their view on the second question. That would be interesting to know. So who would want to start? Question 2 under karma. Nobody?
Yeah, I can go.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, for my understanding, the ultimate goal that I have in this life is just to constantly remember that whatever I'm experiencing as life is nothing but an illusion made up of second-hand information. So it is to look beyond this second-hand information and realize that there is someone or something sitting behind and watching all this. That realization is my ultimate goal, no matter what
And
situation
that
occurs.
someone who's watching everything is none other than you.
Right. Agreed.
Your real you. Your real you.
Yes.
Okay. Any other views? Any other thoughts? Oh, that was no discussion at all. Just one person talking.
Maybe I can make one small statement what came to my mind there.
Yeah.
Because I think the question here says, what is the highest stage of spiritual evolution? I think the highest stage, in my opinion, would be, of course, after this Dehatma Sambandham is left, then the Atma reaches the final, so to say, the full splendor, and it completely understands its sequence. And the last stage of this realization, or so to say, being dwelling, or so to say, becoming the oneness fully gets realized only when the Dehatma Sambandham goes away. But to me, from a more smaller plane, I would say, to me, if I'm able to always dispassionately dissect my own action and see that, okay, this is why I acted like this in this situation, or this is why I did. And if I can find that corner in me, which is able to dispassionately look at my own actions, I feel this is a little bit of realization to say that, okay, I'm not associating myself completely with what I would call as a kind of limitations coming from the worldly topics. This is how I look at it. I know maybe it does not go exactly in the direction of what probably the answer should come for this one.
That was
No,
my
there's
question
no.
first. So that's why I'm
Go
very
ahead.
eager to know.
Go ahead.
Thank you,
Go
sir.
ahead. Yeah. I mean, do you have a view or opinion, Subhashini ma'am? Or
After reading all these things, what is the highest? I mean, what is the goal of it? I try to put the whole thing in. I mean, I understood where we will go, like kind of a Jivan Mukti state, where I understand that okay, I wake up, I see something, I'm sleeping something, so all these are mithya, and this is now nowhere related to me. So I have to get myself away from this, and I have to see myself in others. So, but after leaving the body, so it is not going to have that this particular what to say. Asha, this particular idea of getting back again to the earth, and thereby I'm going to release myself from this life and birth. That's what was running in my mind, but I really want to know the seed of it.
okay. Anyone else? Anyone else has a thought? Any other
Maybe the
comments?
same person again. I think here actually in Bhagavad Gita, it clearly says, I don't have all the sentences in mind, but one of the sentences it always says and keeps recurring in thought is Tulya Ninda Stitir Mauni. So it basically in the 12th chapter, I think it's very clearly mentioned that the when one really realizes himself in the right and complete way, they are so indifferent to like this tuti or ninda or whatever, and also whenever good bad whatever happens, if they are able to remain completely unaffected by these things, I think this would be the stage which indicates that the person is really evolved.
Okay. Okay, right. Anybody else wants to say something? Nobody? Okay, so once again, all the answers were based on the Jivatma. Okay, so it's correct. This Tulyaninda Astutir Mauni is a very good expression, but for the life in this material plane, if you are able to distance yourself emotionally from all the happenings and maintain a steady composure, peace of mind, that is what in the Bhagavad Gita is called Sthita Prajna. Okay, Sthita Prajna, or in another chapter it is called Parabhakta and all that. Okay, but that's also a very Vyavaharika level understanding. So ultimately, at the Paramarthika level, it is a realization that these are all bodies floating in me, the infinity. So that is ultimate teaching, and if you can live that teaching, you can say that is the ultimate goal. Yeah. So beyond that, I don't want to comment because I am supposed to talk the very minimum. So can we go to third question? Question 3.
Yes. Question 3 is, what is beyond death? What happens to our knowledge of consciousness of Brahman after death? And is the knowledge gained? Maybe it's a typo there, but yeah, the knowledge gained through Shravanam in this life, is it enough to carry it to the next Janma? I'm not sure I understand the last part of the question. But yeah, it's generally around
Who
what is
wants to
beyond
try?
death and what happens.
Who
Yeah.
wants to try the answer? Who wants to try to
Mm,
answer this?
Maybe not an answer, Vasudevanji, from my side.
Hmm?
I have a question. Why are we even interested what happens after death if we do not realize anything in this life while we are alive?
Exactly. Good. Nice question. Okay, Subhashni ma'am. Subhashni ma'am gave up a hand.
I wanted
Please.
to say death here means I think we don't have death. If you consider yourself as a soul Atma, there's no death. So
Yeah.
that's how I want to take this
Okay.
question, sir. There's no death for me.
Okay.
Right. From the point of
Good.
view of the body, there is death. Yes. The gross
Yes.
body and the subtle body and
Okay.
everything in
Okay.
matter. Yeah.
Anybody else? Anybody else? Rajneesh, please go
Yeah,
ahead.
just coming back to my earlier point, I think this is slightly related to my question of memories. We don't have memories from past lives, and what is the significance of this?
Okay. So let us hear some more answers. And I will probably have to talk a little more than I planned for this particular question. But let's hear somebody else, anybody else who wants to take a hit at it. No one else? Subhashni ma'am?
If at all, I mean, body death and if I'm going to take place, if we take that as a death and birth cycle, then all this knowledge is going to buckle up and go, and it's going to come up again in the next life. Exactly, I'm going to start from where I left. So nothing of
Good.
no knowledge of Brahman will be lost, and it'll be regained, and probably it will start from the same place according to my
Exactly.
karma.
Sixth chapter.
Thank you,
Sixth
thank you.
chapter.
Exactly,
Sixth
sir.
chapter.
You taught me, sir. Thank you.
Yoga Bhrashta. Yoga
Yoga
Bhrashta.
Brishta.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Right. Okay. So nobody else wants to talk on this question? Okay. Right. In that case, what I want to say is, first of all, let us understand what is death. Death and birth. So we have a Jivatma. For simplicity, let us consider the whole Jivatma as one unit. Actually, there are five five entities that go to make up the Jivatma, but we will consider all the five entities as one single entity. So the Jivatma coming into association with the physical body is birth. And the Jivatma separating its association from a physical body is death. Very simple. Okay, now this Jivatma, if you understand or remember the Panchakosha that we talked about in so many different classes, there is a Annamaya Kosha, there is a Pranamaya Kosha, there is a Manomaya Kosha, there is a Vijnanamaya Kosha and an Anandamaya Kosha, and finally the original consciousness Paramatma. So there are 6 entities, and the Annamaya Kosha alone is the physical body, and the Pranamaya, Vijnanamaya, Manomaya, Anandamaya, and of course Paramatma is all pervading. All of them, they go together to form the Jivatma. Okay, so the Jivatma is beginningless. Jivatma has always existed. That means from one Janma to another, the Manas, the mind is also continuing. It doesn't have, you don't get a new mind for every Janma. The same mind goes on successive Janmas. But it doesn't carry all of its memory because you have actually gone through infinite number of Janmas before this. Infinite number of Janmas. Because it's a beginningless process. So you don't know how many Janmas you have gone through before. Now imagine if you carry the memories of all those infinite number of Janmas to every detail, you will run out of memory actually. No, even though Prakriti is such a superb, memory chip that it can carry so much of memory, it's still the infinite number of Janmas with infinite units of memory will cause a memory overflow. So it is Bhagavan's design to effectively optimize the memory and use it efficiently. So you carry the effect of your actions, but not the details of the actions. It is a little like your profit and loss account and balance sheet in the company corporate world. When you have a one financial year and close the financial year and go to the next financial year, the profit and loss account is the one that keeps the transactions, in detail. It is only the closing balances that go to the next year in the balance sheet and trial balance. It's a little like that. I'm just giving you a very gross example because this is easy to understand. Most people have seen accounting, balance sheet, profit and loss, trial balance and all that. So it's a little like you can't carry all the transactions of one year to the next year because it's not important. Your financial year is closed. It's exactly like that. In a given Janma, it doesn't really matter what exactly were the details of the actions of the previous Janma. The samskara of the previous actions is carried forward. That is carried forward, but not the individual details. That is what the answer for the memory part. Why are we not carrying the memory? It's not necessary. As long as the samskaras come with you, and the punyam papam will definitely come. Okay, and so you don't need to actually remember anything because it's not useful. Okay, and coming back to the death and birth question, the association dissociation is what should be understood, and if you have correctly grasped and digested the Advaitic teaching, it is that infinite number of bodies are floating around in one Paramatma, which is infinity, and that infinity is none other than your true self. Okay, so that is the ultimate answer. So there may be bodies that come and go, but I am unaffected. That is the real understanding, or what do you call, take home. We have used this word take home, take away from a meeting and all that. No, so this is a takeaway from this meeting that all the bodies that you see around are floating around in you, and from a shall we say, just to conclude the finest point, when somebody becomes a completely liberated person, That will be his last Janma. So if you have done your Sravanam and Mananam properly, that knowledge will help you not to go to the next Janma, but to dissolve your koshas and merge with Paramatma. So the person who has properly done Shravanam and Mananam and Nididhyasanam will not have a next Janma, which means that his Jivatma disappears and becomes one with the Paramatma. That is the Advaitic conclusion. Okay, I'll stop here. If there are any questions on this, we can discuss. Otherwise, we'll move to the next question.
Okay. I think
No
we can
follow?
move to the next.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can move to the
Okay.
next set of questions. I think these are interesting. They're all interesting, but maybe we move to this first, the set of these first three. When we say Aham Brahmasmi, then is it still important to perform everyday puja? How does Shankaracharya support Nam Jap, chanting of various shlokas or Bhagavad Gita? Does this chanting really cleanse our Atman?
Okay. Next question. Let someone take a first shot. Okay. Who wants to go? Yes, ma'am. Subhashni.
Aham Brahmasmi is only within myself, and I think the take of Vedanta on doing a puja outside is not so appreciated, because this is a complete knowledge about myself. And how does Shankaracharya support Nam Jap chanting? I really have not read anything directly to it, but I personally think that it depends upon the where this particular person stays. And Shankaracharya's highest teaching is Aham Brahmasmi, so definitely he would stand only in the first thing. So Nam Jap chanting will be for the second person, the who are still not able to grasp Aham Brahmasmi. Do we have to, Bhagavathi, does it change really Atma? Yes, but not, I mean, my thing is, yes, chanting will help, but it's a slow process. Thank you, sir.
Venkatesh, sir. You raised your hand.
Yeah, I think just to say, when simply because when I say Aham Brahmasmi, I think I still probably need to do Nam Jap and others. But when I've realized Aham Brahmasmi, probably all these Nam Jap and others automatically fall off, because when that ultimate, the complete import and the meaning of Aham Brahmasmi is fully realized, then the Jivatma is fully in a realized stage, absolutely without any limitations coming from any of the Panchakosha or any of the limitations. It does not have to do Nam Jap. But when we say Aham Brahmasmi, I would say more or less, as long as we still are in this mortal confines, I think this would still be necessary to say the Nama Jap. I think for a moment I will give an example which is not so much directly coming from any of the teachings here, but what comes to the mind here is there used to be a chapter long back in probably 5th, 6th standard about a Baharupiya in Hindi, which says that there is a thief who goes as a Baharupiya and kind of he acts like a saint. He joins a sadhu as a Baharupiya with an objective that when people give offerings to that sadhu, he is able to get something out of it. But finally, when the king comes and offers the wealth to this particular person, he is so engrossed in that role of being a sadhu in that Baharupiya, he is worried that no, then I will probably not be right, and that is why he still declines to accept it. I think this is a thing that's the reason why even until we realize Aham Brahmasmi, we should keep doing Nam Jap or whatever kind of thing more, because until we realize the complete meaning of it, it is more a statement, and that will not help us reach the goal. And the more, like, it goes to that statement the other day, what we learned in the class, Nissangatve, and that the thing. So how you go across, finally, all this will go Satsangatve, Nissangatvam, Nissangatve, Nirmohatvam, Nirmohatve, Nischala Tattvam, Nischala Tattve, Jivan Mukti. In that sequence, Japa finds a place, but not in the final stages once you have realized it.
Nice answer, sir. Rajneesh, please.
I just wanted to mention about Nama Japa. I have heard from my guru as well, not specifically what written by Shankaracharya. And also, I read about Ramana Maharshi. He mentioned once that ultimately realized soul or Atman is continuously kind of saying, I am. So it is very close to the Nama Japa. And that is why Nama Japa is significant because that is closest to Parabrahman. That is one theory. And that is they call it as Sukshma. So we want to go from the earthly to the Sukshma. So that that's why they use Nama Japa as a uh, sadhana.
Okay. Sonal Tiwari.
Mm. I'm in very earlier stage of this spirituality, so I might be wrong as well. But what I have heard, like, there are two type of bhaktis, sagun and nirgun. And murti puja is sagun, where nirgun is because the Paramatma is nirgun, nirakar, and murti puja won't lead you to that ultimate goal. And Naam Jap is Nirgun Bhakti, and Naam Jap is a connection between you and that Paramatma who is Nirakar. And Naam Jap, the way Naam Jap works, it cleans your mind. It takes you to Paramatma in stages. So as much as you do the Jap, it will have an effect on your mind, your Atma, your soul, and everything. I don't know how much I'm correct, but that's what my understanding is.
Yeah, I think made a very valid point. There are a lot of good things you said, but one small correction. Nam Jap is also part of Sagun Bhakti because at the ultimate level, what is a Nama? Nama is an attribute which is also a guna. So without guna, there is no Nama. Okay. So yeah, I mean most of your answer was very good. I would say great job. If there is nobody else who wants to say something, maybe I'll add a little from my side. Are there anyone else who want to talk about this point?
So I just want to add that all of these, any form of upasana, let's just say that you choose Nam Jap or puja or chanting shlokas or whatever, it's a kind of to lay the foundation to the ultimate realization, in the sense to it's sort of like with karma yoga and upasana yoga, you are doing, or you're doing the laying the foundation for the realization ultimately. So it's like a step in the ladder.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So Nama Japa, it is wrong to say that Shankaracharya does not support Nama Japa because in addition to writing all these commentaries on Vedantic works and expounding the truth that Aham Brahmasmi and all that, Shankaracharya has also written Bhashyam for Vishnu Sahasranamam, and he has written so many shlokas which help the Saguna Bhakta to perform the devotion to the Lord of his choice. So it is not like Shankaracharya has written, shlokas only towards Shiva or Durga or Ambal, Devi. He's written shlokas for almost every possible Ishtadevata. You will find shlokas from Shankaracharya towards Hanuman, towards Ganesha, towards Subramanya, towards Vishnu, Lakshmi. Kanakadvara Stotram is a prayer written by Shankaracharya for Lakshmi worship. And he has written Sharada Bhujangam and so many different shlokas. So while Shankaracharya was a great proponent of the Aham Brahmasmi school of Advaitam, he was also a very active promoter of the Saguna Bhakti by establishing the Shanmatam. The Shanmatam that is brought six six Ishtadevatas, Sauram, Kaumaram, Shaktam, Shaivam, Vaishnavam, and Ganapatim. Sauram is the worship of sun as the representative of Brahman. Okay, Shaktam is to worship Shakti or Devi as the ultimate. Shaivam is worshipping Shiva. Vaishnavam is worshipping Vishnu. Ganapatyam is the worshipping of Ganesha. And Kaumaram is the worshipping of Subramanya. Okay, so you will see western states and Karnataka, Maharashtra, there Ganapatyam is more popular. Bengal, Assam, there Shaktam is more popular. And in the south, you will find everything. There is a predominant Kaumaram tradition. People who go to Subramanya temples like Parani, Tiruchendur, they're all Kaumara worshippers. And Sauram is actually what we do on the Sankranti day. On the Sankranti day, when you prepare Pongal and offer to the sun god, you're basically worshipping the sun. Okay, so Shanmata Sthapanam was done by Shankaracharya. Any form of prayer, you do Murti Puja or Nama Japa or chanting of shlokas or whatever, they are all basically karmas, and karma produces what we call Chitta Shuddhi. Chitta Shuddhi is nothing but a technical name for the purification of the mind. And there's one example or story that I've heard for this discussion. So there was one boy who said, he was challenging his guru. Why are you asking me to do prayer and all that? It's all useless. What is the benefit of using, prayer as a tool? And he was challenging the guru. The guru gave him a basket in which the coal was stored for a long time. So there was a basket in which people store coal, and that basket was completely black with soot and coal dust and all that. So the guru said, okay, I'll give you a task. You take this basket, go to the river next to the ashram, and bring me a full bucket of water. He had a bucket next to him and said, you bring water in this basket and fill up this bucket. That is the task I'm giving you. So the boy went to the river and dipped the basket and then tried to get water. Basket cannot hold water because it is full of holes, right? So by the time he walked from the river to the ashram, the basket was emptied completely. So this way the boy was frustrated. He made 100 trips to the river and the ashram back, but not a drop of water came to the bucket. And finally he gave up and went to the guru and said, look, you gave me a task. I was not able to complete it. So here is your basket. And the guru asked, look at the basket now. And he looked at the basket and he asked, what? When you took the basket, what was the color of the basket? He said, it was very black. What is it now? It's very clean. That's exactly how prayer works. You may not be able to bring water, but in the process, your basket got cleaned. It's exactly like that. When you do prayer, your mind gets cleaned. So that was the example the guru gave to the Shishya. So prayer works like that. It's like, your mind is a very subtle matter. And the subtle matter can be cleaned only by a subtle cleaning agent. And prayer acts as this subtle cleaning agent. That is the benefit of prayer. And it is as, Yashaswini ma'am said, it's a stepping stone to acquiring the knowledge through Shravanam. If you come to Shravanam with a mind that is cluttered with all kinds of, material wishes and material aspirations, the Shravanam will not stick to your mind. But through lot of karma and prayers, if your mind has been purified, it is a purified mind that is capable of absorbing the teaching during Shravanam and answering all the questions through Mananam, and ultimately, even performing Nididhyasanam is possible only with a purified mind. So the prayer, Namajapa, whatever you do, is to help the person get purified in the mind. And that mind in that context is called Atman. Otherwise, Atma doesn't need purification at all. The Paramatma is all pure. Atma Shuddhi does not mean Shuddhi for the Paramatma. Atma Shuddhi generally means either the body getting purified or the mind getting purified. That is what is Atma Shuddhi. Okay, the word Atma has different meanings in different contexts. That is how we have to understand. Okay, I think we covered that question. Does anyone have a follow up, or can we go to the next question?
I only remember Bhajagovindam, sir.
Yeah, Bhajagovindam incidentally is written by Shankaracharya.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So, question 2 under section 1. Who wants to
Yes,
go?
not really a question, but I know this could be very basic, but could you please explain concept of Atman?
Okay. Who wants to go? Nobody? Give it a shot, no? Take a shot. Yeah, Subhashni ma'am.
Only a short, sir. If you explain, then it is not Atman. Something which can not be explained by a second thing. I think you normally say objective, subjective. So I'm putting it even simpler. So that is you.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Anyone
The way,
else?
yes, yeah.
Anyone else? Anybody contradicting Subhashni?
I would only say, I don't know, again, I'm correct or not, but it is part or ansh of Paramatma only. And but we don't know. And until we don't know, I think our journey will continue.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Venkatesh.
I think definition for me is a little bit more difficult here, but only thing since you asked if somebody contradicts, I think Acharya only explained Maya as Anirvachaniya. He did not explain Atma as Anirvachaniya. He actually wrote this Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma and all. So I think in that sense, I would say yes, Atma is something which can be identified and
Yeah,
kind of
absolutely. I think what Subhashni ma'am meant was maybe she didn't use the appropriate word. It cannot be objectified. That's what she wanted to say. Atman
okay,
is
that's
something that
true.
cannot be objectified. Okay, so yeah, so this is basically a question of a point which can be misinterpreted very often. So very simply in Sanskrit, the word Atman means self. Self, self. That's the simplest meaning grammatically. And the word Atma is used in different meanings in different contexts. Okay, so the example that I generally give is in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. There are 3 or 4 shlokas, one coming one after the other, in which the word Atma occurs some 9 times or 11 times. And every Atma, every occurrence of Atma is a different meaning. Okay, so let me try to recollect the shlokas. अनाश्रितः कर्मफलं कार्यं कर्म करोति यः स सन्न्यासी च योगी च निरग्निर्न चाक्रियः यं सन्न्यासमिति प्राहुः योगं तं विद्धि पाण्डव न ह्यसन्न्यस्य संकल्पो योगी भवति कश्चन आरुरुक्षोर्मुनेर्योगं कर्मकारणमुच्यते योगारूढस्य तस्यैव शमः कारणमुच्यते यदा हि नेन्द्रियार्थेषु न कर्मस्वनुषज्यते सर्वसंकल्पसन्न्यासी योगारूढस्तदोच्यते. Okay, now starts उद्धरेद आत्मनात्मानं नात्मानम् अवसादयेत् आत्मैव ह्यात्मनो बन्धुः आत्मैव रिपुरात्मनः बन्धुरात्मात्मनस्तस्य येनात्मैवात्मना जितः अनात्मनस्तु शत्रुत्वे वर्तेतात्मैव शत्रुवत् जितात्मनः प्रशान्तस्य परमात्मा समाहितः शीतोष्ण सुख दुःखेषु तथा मानापमानयोः. So those are the 3 shlokas. I think there are 9 occurrences of the word Atma. Uddhared Atmanatmanam. natmanam avasadayet. That means you can uplift yourself, and you must uplift yourself with your own effort, and don't belittle yourself and hinder this process of upliftment. That is the meaning of that first line. Uddhared atmana atmanam. Uddharet means to uplift. Atmana atmanam means yourself by your own effort. And here that upliftment is not to lift your physical body, but it is to elevate your mind, to elevate the level of thinking of your mind. That means move away from all the gross, start aiming for the higher knowledge. That is the rough meaning. And start moving towards spirituality. And by discouraging yourself, by saying that I am not capable of this, I am not capable of that, you are belittling yourself and you are accelerating your downfall, spiritual downfall. Okay. Then bandhuratmatmanastasya yenatmaivatmana jitaha anatmanastu shatrutve vartetatmaiva shatruvat. There the bandhu means friend. The one who has conquered or won over his sense organs, that mind is a good friend of yours. So one in one atma, the atma means the sense organs. Yenatmaivatmana jitaha means one who has conquered one's sense organs. Okay, bandhuratmatmanastaiva. Bandhuratmatmanastaiva means that mind which has conquered the sense organs is the best friend for you, you as in the complete person. And if you have not conquered your sense organs, then you are your worst enemy. Anatmanatu shatrutve vartetatmaiva shatruvat. So if your mind has not conquered your sense organs, then that mind is your worst enemy. So in this, you see that the word Atma is used in different contexts for this. In one context, it means the body. In one context, it means the sense organs. In one context, it means the mind. In one context, it could even be the Jivatma. And in some other context, Atma can mean Paramatma, the ultimate original consciousness. Okay, so you have to ask the question before asking the meaning of the word Atma. You have to ask the question, what is the context in which this word is used? Only according to the context, the word Atma can be understood. That is the point to remember. Okay, but in the Advaitic field, ultimately, Atma means Parameshwara, Paramatma. That is Nirguna Brahma. That is the ultimate meaning of Atma. Okay, so was that helpful? Would you want to have a discussion on any of these aspects? Any follow-up?
Yes, so that was helpful. I mean, I interpreted this question to mean that Atman, as in the sense Atman was referring to Brahman or Paramatma. That's how I interpreted it. But that was interesting to see that it can be different depending on the context.
Okay, Rajneesh.
Yeah, just to put again different context. So any spirituality or any darshana, I think they qualify as a darshana when they answer some questions like what is God, what is self, what is relation between God and self, and so on. So every
Yeah.
philosophy will have their own answer. Only then they will qualify as a philosophy or darshana. So yeah, just wanted to mention that. And of course, uh, we are answering here Vedanta philosophy in that context.
Suvashni ma'am.
I was just remembering about the Viveka Buddhi. So if you can differentiate things that will that have the Mithya concept, and what is remaining will be the Atma, and because of which everything else existed. If we kind of interpret to that question, then that will also be Atma. So
Yeah, I
I
mean,
just
you can understand Atma also based on your own level of knowledge and maturity.
Right.
So it's a little like, we all learn mathematics from class 1 to class 12 and even at the master's and PhD level. But the mathematics you learn at the class 1 or 2 is quite different from the mathematics you learn at the PhD level. So you can say that about Atma also. So the
Right.
Atma, the way somebody who's not at all spiritually oriented, he understands Atma in a particular way. But then as you progressively go higher up in your spiritual learning, your understanding also improves. Yeah,
Right.
true.
Yes, right, sir.
Okay, right. We can probably take up one more question before we close the session. Maybe third question on.
Yes. I am a person who is not so organized or who cannot keep the house clean and tidy. I cannot perform daily puja as well. But when we learn such deep thought as every being is Brahman itself, then somehow this transactional level feels really superficial, and instead the cleanliness or purity of Atman feels more important. Is my thinking correct, or does my karma jeopardize or hinder my spiritual journey?
Okay. Yeah. Let's open it up to the group. Does anyone in the group want to address this point? Gurudat has been quite silent for the last so many questions. Or does Gurudat is he still there?
Yeah, yeah. I am listening.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Who wants to go? It's a very interesting question, actually. Yeah. Subhashni ma'am.
Sir, definitely, because what I realize is different, but what actually is available to my Indriyas, at least that I think we have to start cleaning that first. A clean
No, no. When you
home,
say
a clean
definitely,
surrounding.
what is a definitely? You please first mention that. You started with
What I am
definitely. What is definitely?
definitely is now. I'm just thinking. If a normal for a normal person, I'm reading and I'm doing everything, but still I'm not able to stand up to this Aham Brahmasmi or realize that I'm different from this body. Then where should I actually start from? Then it should be bhakti. So what bhakti is actually saying is to keep my puja room clean, to keep everything clean. So if if my puja room has to be clean, then all my surrounding has to be clean. So if the cleanliness kind of helps, the physical cleanliness and the process actually kind of helps to put me into a focus. So I'm telling that if we start this cleanliness and keeping everything organized and tidy starts from outside, then this is definitely going to have some positive impact on our mind, which will gradually take me into my spiritual path. So this is how I am approaching to this place, to this question.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Who raised his hands? Sonal Tiwari.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So again, I will say what I think. The way it is very necessary to have food, drink water, have a family. Like if you are in a grahast, similar way, it is also necessary to live that life in this world. When to clean your house or other stuff, it is not mandate. You can live in a filthy place as well, but to do your day, like you have to earn money, you have to go for a job. The way it is necessary, this is also necessary, but you should not give that much attention to cleanliness that you forget the main weight, which is whatever you are doing. It's a mantra jap or you are doing nam jap. That should not become a problem in that journey. Do it as much as it is necessary. Don't make it as a main priority. That is what I would say. uh,
Okay. Okay. Nice. Anyone else? Anyone else wants to share their thoughts? Yeah. Venkatesh sir.
Yeah, maybe just a thought that comes to my mind. I think in most of the, for a moment here, of course, we are looking more at an example, and most often in many places we always is defined, God is defined as standing on a lotus. So that is the example. So just like a lotus blooms out of a pond, they always say, from a kind of a muddy pond. So yes, is it important that I can realize Brahman only in an absolutely speckless surrounding where I have all divine aspects? Probably no, this is not the precondition. But the probability of realizing or advancing better in the spiritual journey with all that cleanliness around is much better, and that is why it's more like a theory of probability. And I think this is how I look at it. So yes, just like a lotus can bloom out, and that is why very often most of the deities are shown standing on a padmam, or they often, like I pray often to Navanita Nartana Krishna, and then he has butter in his hand. They say just like the butter was churned out. So lotus is also given as a symbol of purity. So it's not necessary that we should have everything clean, only then Brahman can be realized. But if it is so, then it probably improves our chances, and probably our risk of failing is much lower when it's all this is adhered to. That's how I think of it.
Very good point, sir. Very good point. So, in English, we have this word called hygiene factor. So, hygiene factor means if you have that factor, it's nothing great. But if you don't have it, it's a big minus point. So, it's like that. So, shaucham or cleanliness, really speaking, is a kind of a necessary but not sufficient condition. Of course, you can, not be so clean, and still you can be spiritual and all that. But if you are not yet spiritually advanced, then having a clean surrounding is definitely more helpful to make progress. And in the Ashtanga Yoga, Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga, the first two steps of the Ashtanga is Yama and Niyama, and Shaucham or cleanliness is one of the five Niyamas that Patanjali talks about. So the Yama, five Yamas are Ahimsa, Satyam, Asteyam, Aparigraham, and Brahmacharyam. And the five niyamas, the first one is Shaucham, that is cleanliness, Santosham, Tapas, Swadhyayam, and Ishvara Pranidhanam. These are the five niyamas. And when we talk about Shaucham or cleanliness, we talk about cleanliness at three levels actually. It is not just physical cleanliness. Physical cleanliness is important. Take bath regularly, make sure that you don't have body odor, make sure you wear clean clothes, clean dress. But the cleanliness also applies to the speech, vak shuddham, vak shaucham. The language that you use must be clean. Don't use abusive language, and don't use uncouth language. And then we talk about a shaucham at the mental level. Even the thoughts that you harbor have to be clean and sattvic. And of course, in Indian context, the fourth level of cleanliness is that you keep your surroundings clean. Very often you can see people clean their house and using a broomstick or whatever, and collect all the garbage, and then they dump it on the street, or sometimes even dump it on the next neighbor's garden or whatever. So that's also not good. So you may want to keep your house clean, but you must also keep your street clean, and your your whichever town, village you are living, that should also be clean. So the cleanliness should be applicable to as much of your neighborhood as possible. So by including Shaucham as one of the key factors of the Yama Niyama, even thousands of years back, Patanjali Maharshi has said that cleanliness plays a very important role. So that is how we have to understand cleanliness. Um, of course, different people can have different levels of cleanliness. That's a different discussion. What may appear to be clean for me may not appear to be clean for somebody else. That's a different discussion. But we must have some level of cleanliness which is appropriate for the occasion. That's what we should try to follow. Okay, so we managed to cover only a part of the complete set of questions. we'll stop the discussion here. Maybe Yashas and Imam can stop the recording, and we'll have another 1 minute to decide what we do next.